Hi, I've been a senior leader in HR for many, many years. I've also been a line manager who's had to use HR services. And the reputation of HR, as you know, regardless of perspective, has issues. Now, the clients blame the collective HR. And within HR, the generalists point fingers at the specialist. And the specialists point fingers at the generalist. And the specialists point fingers at each other as the specialist. Right? But remember that when you point a finger at somebody, 3 fingers are pointing back at you. And so HR needs to own that they are the source of the problem. When I take an OD perspective to all the symptoms I've seen in HR through all those years, I see one root cause, and that is poor structure. And the structure that we've been using started in the 1990s, and it took the employee relations specialist and turned him into the human resources business partner. Now, as the HR business partner, that person is responsible for being the point of contact to the client, right? And the all-powerful generalist has to not only understand the client's HR needs, but find the solutions to those needs, and then broker with the specialist to provide those solutions. But what makes the specialist so scared? Is it being summoned by the great and powerful generalist? No. It's that the generalist might go out and misdiagnose the root cause and then bring them in. So let me give you an example. A generalist goes out, realizes there's conflict in the client group, and decides to bring in the training team and ask the training team to provide communication skills training. The training team provides that, but 3 weeks later, conflict is still there. Now the generalist goes to the OD specialist. They ask the OD specialist to bring in team building. Now the OD specialist goes rogue and decides to do a little bit of diagnosis on their own, right? And they find out that the issue is actually unclear goals. They go to the client and tell them, hey, guess what? It's unclear goals. All right, now you have the generalist who's really mad at the OD specialist for overstepping their role. And the client is angry, just livid, with HR for having wasted their team's time on solving the wrong problem. What if the medical community acted this way? Could you imagine going to your primary care physician, and that primary care physician calls a specialist on your behalf, gives the specialist the diagnosis, and tells the specialist to give you a prescription based on that diagnosis? It wouldn't work. What if we took the best of the medical approach to HR? What if the HR business partner was truly the generalist, responsible for the employee from new hire all the way to retirement? And when anything occurred outside that gray area, they would call in all the specialists, and together they would share the background on the client, they would share the symptoms, and that team would decide who should go in and do the root cause diagnosis and who should do the treatment plan. Now that specialist would go out, do that treatment plan, bring that back to the full team, and collectively together they could create a plan of sustainability that takes a systems perspective. Now, in order for this structure to work, no one can have too big of an ego. Not the great and powerful generalist who must forfeit any past knowledge of expertise area they had and defer to their specialist. Not the superhero specialist who has to be an expert in their area. Otherwise, the generalist doesn't want to refer them to the client. And we can all understand that. If we don't change our structure, we're going to continue with this internal disrespect. Now, I'm not trying to make David Ehrlich, who proposed the HR business partner model, the Wicked Witch of the West. He was right. HR needs to be a strategic partner. Where we went wrong was saying that the HR business partner is the one who has to do all the deep diagnosis. Instead, let's create it more as a team. No specialist wants to inherit a client that's been misdiagnosed. And no generalist wants to work with a specialist who's not an expert in their field. Let's look at the structure of HR. Time is running out. We have been using a structure that's 20 years old, that fails to meet our clients' needs and fails to meet our own HR needs. The fact that we haven't modified this structure in those 20 years is proof that HR lacks brains, heart, and courage. We must stop appearing like a bunch of flying monkeys zooming in on our clients' problems. Stop. Take a look at what organizational structure is best for your business. Give the skills and put money toward upskilling your specialist and your generalist, and create processes that bring people together collaboratively. Thank you for allowing me to pull back the curtain on HR.